Hello everyone, I'm Deborah Leong, and this is part of our beginner series, and we're going to be focusing on how to do forward folds. If you'd like to join us, feel free to grab a couple of blocks, a yoga blanket, and a yoga strap. My blocks are probably out of frame. Those are my blocks, so a couple of blocks. If you don't have them, not a big deal. You can also use a chair, a seat of a chair would work as well. Otherwise, a strap and a blanket. So if you'd like to join us, we'll begin in a seated position. Go ahead and grab your stuff and join us on the mat. Thank you. Okay, so we're actually going to begin in the seated position. If you like to elevate your hips on a blanket or on a block, or if you like even sitting in a chair is okay. All right, so we're just going to start seated. Hands on the knees, eyes gently closed. And just take a few moments to find your breath. Just feel how your breath moves naturally. We're not trying to control it in any way. And then if you like, just allow the breath to become a little bit more full, a little more smooth. If you know ocean sounding breath, Ujjayi, feel free to practice that. Just taking a moment to ground, spine is nice and tall. Relax the shoulders, arms, and hands. And then fluttering the eyes open. So with forward folds, beginning with shoulder circles. So with forward folding, you want to actually create some flexibility in the back of the legs, the hamstrings. And that just takes time. Hamstrings are very strong muscles, and if they're tight, it just might take some time, so please be patient. And then going the other way with the shoulders. And then we're going to do some cat-cow. Inhale, arching the spine. Exhale as we round. And as you move, if anything doesn't feel good to you, inhale as you arch. Just skip it. Let it go. Exhale as we round. This is your practice. Listen to your body. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. And exhale, round. Then inhale, coming to a neutral spine. And we're just going to take our legs out in front of us and stretch them out for a moment. And if you like, making some circles with your ankles and legs. And then going the other way. And then we're going to come onto our hands and knees. I invite you to place some padding underneath. So you can use a blanket or you can use a towel. If you don't have a blanket, use a towel. Even washcloths will do. Anything you have to give yourself more padding if you like. So hands are under the shoulders, knees, hips width. And then we're going to, again, cat-cow. Inhale, arching the spine, lifting the sit bones, arching the spine. And then exhale, curling the tailbone under as we round. Inhale as we arch. Exhale as we round. Inhale as we arch. And exhale as we round. And then inhale, coming to a neutral spine. Take your hands a little bit further forward. And then we're going to make some hip circles. So just bring the hips around and back, and then around and forward. And just going at your own pace. If you feel better with your feet together instead of hips width at this point, feel free to move the feet to wherever you like so your knees are comfortable. And then going the other way. And then the next time you come forward, we're going to stay here, hands and knees again. We're just going to take our blocks underneath the hands and then taking our right foot forward, just into a nice low lunge. And just stay here for a moment, stretching the front of that left hip and thigh a bit. Maybe lift the chest. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring the hips back and folding over the right leg. You might walk the blocks back with you a little bit. Now in this position, if your hamstrings are tight here, it may kind of round your low back. So if that's the case, soften that right knee a little bit and then try to tilt your pelvis forward and reach your heart forward. Breathe. And then on your next exhale, just soften a little bit. So with each inhale, let the spine lengthen. And with each exhale, just relax a little bit. And then inhale, shifting the hips forward. And then we're going to step that right foot back again and take the left foot forward. Gently bring the hips forward, roll the shoulders down the back, reach the heart forward, just getting a nice little stretch in that front of that right hip. And then as you exhale, bringing the hips back, you can walk the blocks back with you. So either the left leg is straight as you fold, or if your low back is rounding here, go ahead and soften that left knee, tilt the pelvis forward, reach your heart forward, and breathe. With each inhale, feel the spine lengthen, and with each exhale, maybe soften a little bit. Relax where you can. And then inhaling, coming forward again. And then stepping that left foot back. Okay, so now we're going to come into a downward facing dog. So taking the blocks over to the side a little bit. Your hands are going to be slightly forward of the shoulders. Curl the toes under. And then push the floor away from you as you reach your hips up and back as far as you can. If your low back is rounding here, if the hamstrings are tight, that might be happening. So if that's the case, soften your knees, lift your sit bones up and back, and breathe deeply. Let the spine be nice and long. Over time, we work towards straightening the legs, not by pushing the knees back, but instead by pushing the feet down into the floor to lift the hips up a little higher and gradually working the heels towards the floor. So the feet press down as the hips lift up. That's true whether the knees are bent or straight at this point. And then come on down to the knees. And then if you like, point the toes, coming up to a kneeling position. Take the hands to the low back and bring them like as if you were bringing your hands into some back jeans pockets. Roll the shoulders open, elbows hug in, and then lifting your heart towards the ceiling. And breathe. And then on your next exhale, come back to hands and knees, and then downward facing dog. And then just walking your hands back towards your feet and coming into a standing forward fold. If you like, you can take your hands to your ankles or your shins. You could put them on blocks. You could put blocks underneath your hands. But allow your knees to be bent here for a moment. If they're not already bent, go ahead and bend the knees. And press the feet into the floor as you lift your pelvis up. And those two actions are going to be what works towards straightening the legs. If you like, you can let the shoulder blades move down the back towards the waist. So the neck is a little bit long, and maybe you turn the head side to side, like you're saying no, and then like you're saying yes. And then with the knees bent, taking the hands to the thighs, and take your time, coming up to a standing position. So now we're going to come into a wide-legged standing forward fold. So we're going to face the long edge of the mat. If you like to use blocks, feel free to grab them. It's optional. You can also use a chair. So we're going to have our feet nice and wide. Outer edges of the feet parallel, hands on the waist. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, tilting the pelvis forward as we fold. Again, the knees could be bent here if you like. And just taking our hands onto the blocks or chair or to the floor. Fingers forward, elbows pointing straight back. Notice if your shoulders are up towards the ears. If so, let the shoulder blades draw down the back towards the waist. And breathing deeply here. With each inhale, the spine lengthens. With each exhale, maybe letting go, relaxing a little bit. And then on an inhale, coming halfway up, lengthen the spine, reach. You can even walk your blocks forward. So you're in a halfway down position. So the spine's nice and straight. And then we're going to rotate the toes out a little bit. And then just go side to side. Nice and gentle. And then come to center and bend both knees, taking the forearms or the hands to your inner thighs and press them away, getting a nice stretch in the inner thigh. And breathe. Again, if anything doesn't feel good to you, just skip it. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and straighten the legs again, toes face forward, and again take a fold, forward fold. And then bending the knees, if they're not bent already, taking hands to thighs, and gently, take your time, coming up to a standing position. Then we're going to heel toe the feet back together. And then we're going to make our way onto the floor again, lying down on our back. And just have your strap somewhere handy. If you don't have a strap, you can use a towel. That's fine. So lying on the back, with the knees bent at first. And just rest for a moment. And then we're going to take our strap around the right foot and extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. If the leg is bent, if the hamstrings are tight, you can bend the knee a bit. But breathe smoothly, try not to hold the breath. And then holding the strap with just the right hand. Let the toes rotate out to the side as you take the right leg out to the right and the left knee goes out to the left. Left arm goes out to the left as well. A nice stretch for the inner thigh. And then on your next inhale, bring the right leg back up to center. And then exhale, releasing that strap. Just bring your arms out to a T position. Let your left knee go out to the left. Come all the way onto the outer edge of the left hip and let this right side of the hip roll over the left for a little spinal twist here. Letting the right leg press out through your heel of the right leg. So we're getting a little bit of a stretch in the outer hip and thigh here. And then on an inhale, coming back up to center. Take both feet to the floor and adjust the hips. You have a nice neutral spine, neutral pelvis. And then we're going to change sides. So taking the strap around the left foot, extending the left leg up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. And breathe. holding the strap with just the left hand. Bring the right arm out to the right into a T position. Rotate your left toes out to the left a little bit. And then take the left leg out to the left, the right knee out to the right. Sort of like a counterbalance. It's just to try to keep the hips about level. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then on your next inhale, bring the left leg back up, releasing the strap, and taking the left arm out to the left to a T position. Roll onto the outer right hip as you take your left hip over and take the left leg over to the right, and pressing out through that heel and foot, so the foot's flexed. So getting a nice stretch in the outer hip here. And then on your next inhale, coming back up to center. Taking both feet to the floor, adjusting the hips. Now we're going to take the strap around both feet, extending both legs up towards the ceiling. And if you like, you could play with taking the strap as long, or taking your hands all the way to the ends of the strap and taking the feet wide, if that feels good to you. And then on an inhale, bringing the feet back together, bend the knees, releasing the strap. So the feet come together on the floor with the knees bent. And just let your knees go out to the sides and your arms out to the sides as well. If this isn't comfortable, just come to a position with your legs straight, okay? Otherwise, the knees go out to the sides, the feet together, recline bound angle. And then if you like, you could create a little bit of a back bend in your upper back, drawing your shoulder blades towards one another. And then exhale and release that. Releasing that back bend. And then if you like, taking the knees together and extending the legs forward for relaxation pose. Closing the eyes. Take a deep breath in. And let it go with a sigh. One more time. Inhale deep. And let it go with a sigh. Take rest for a moment. And just notice how you feel. Let the breath be natural. And allow the belly to be soft so it's free to move with a natural breath. And then begin to deepen the breath, maybe wiggling the fingers and toes. If you prefer to stay here for a while, feel free. Otherwise, we're just going to inhale. Bring your arms up and back and make yourself as long as you can. And see if you can feel like you're stretching from the inside out. Nice and long. Reach, reach, reach. And then exhale and release, drawing the knees in towards the chest, giving them a gentle hug, maybe swaying side to side. And then coming onto your right side and resting here for a moment. And gradually making your way up to a seated position. Take your time. Thank you so much for joining me. May you live like the lotus, at home in the muddy water. Thank you. Namaste. So if you enjoyed this practice, feel free to join us for some live Zoom classes. You can check the link below to find our current schedule and class descriptions. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Namaste.